Hello friends, welcome to our channel Edu Knowledge Hub. Myself Dharmajit, Assistant Professor in the Department of Pharmaceutics of Bengal School of Technology. Today I am here with the topic that is ICH guideline. Under this ICH guideline, the today's topic discussion is multidisciplinary. It is a product of ICH guideline which mainly deals with the different sector of the pharmaceutical product manufacturing, and which is not coming under the quality, safety or efficacy. So that's why it is a mixture of the guidelines. That's why it is called as multidisciplinary. If you see in my channel already regarding this ICH guideline, I have posted 3 videos regarding this ICH guideline. First one was ICH guideline overview. Second one was ICH guideline which deals with the quality and safety, and third one was ICH guideline with the efficacy, and today's topic is ICH guideline with multidisciplinary. So before going in detail about the topics, let's have a look about the course outcome for this video. So from this video we can able to understand the importance of ICH and its implementation in pharmaceutical industry. Secondly, it also helps to appreciate the importance in documentation of multidisciplinary. That means whatever the guidelines are necessary to implement the multidisciplinary evaluations or for the manufacturing, that is to be available here for the documentation. And third one is to understand the responsibility of quality assurance and quality control department in pharmaceutical industry. So now let's have a look of our slides. So first one is about the definition. So as already I told you in my previous video, ICH means International Conference on Harmonization. It is the mainly need of the requirement for the pharmaceutical product registration for the product which are mainly intended for use in human beings. So ICH it is telling that it is a joint initiative of the regulatory bodies of different country as well as the research based industry representative, and mainly the regulatory bodies of Europe, Japan and US. So the main intention of this ICH guideline or International Conference of Harmonization is to establish a technical discussion or the testing procedure which are necessary for a pharmaceutical product to assure or to assess the safety, quality, efficacy of the medicines. So the main intention is to provide a safety and quality to the pharmaceutical product. So now if you see about the work product of ICH guideline, so ICH guideline work product is classified into 4 different category. That is, first one is quality, second one is safety, third one is efficacy, and fourth one is multidisciplinary. And today's our topic for the discussion is multidisciplinary. Multidisciplinary means it is telling that it is a deals with the terminology, it deals with the electronic standards, it deals with the common documents. Why it is called multidisciplinary? Because the previous work product of ICH we can see it was mainly deals with the quality of the product, mainly deals with the your safety of the product, and third one is mainly deals with the efficacy of the product. So apart from this quality, safety and efficacy, what are the minimum or maximum requirements are there for the pharmaceutical product, and which the ICH is thinking to be meet as an international level or to be meet as a global level. For this it is coming under the multidisciplinary. If you will say that multidisciplinary means it is a mixture of all the guidelines which is not coming under the quality, safety and efficacy. So now have a look about this multidisciplinary. So what it is telling, this multidisciplinary guideline is subdivided or subcategorized into M1 to M13, which is containing different parts or different components of the product or different terminology you can tell. So this multidisciplinary means it is a topic which do not fit uniquely. That means, as I told, that it is a mixture of all the above categories. That may be about the electronics device, may be about the documentation, may be about the terminology, may be about the non-clinical safety studies. Everything is coming under this multidisciplinary. So that's why it is called as multidisciplinary, means is a mixture of documentation of all categories which are not coming under the quality, safety and efficacy. So as you can see in my slide that this multidisciplinary is subcategorized into different like M1 to M13. Here on the screen you can see M1 to M6 is written in the black and M7 to M13 is written in the red color. That means it is indicated that M1 to M6 is completely implemented and now it is completely or fully established in the three different region of the ICH, but M7 to M13 some are in the process or some are in the process of implementation in the different region of the ICH. So that's why it is written in the red ink. That means it is still the work is going on in the M7 to M13. So now let's have a look about the M1. M1 is indicating that it is a medical dictionary for regulatory activities and terminology. That means in short it is called as MedDRA, Medical Dictionary Regulatory Activities and Terminology. So here what it is telling, it is mainly designed by the ICH working group to make a dictionary which will meet the International Federation of Pharmaceutical Manufacturer and Association, or which will be act as a guideline for the pharmaceutical industry and which will help to provide a international medical dictionary which will contain all the terminology, all the meanings and all the standards. That means the main goal of this international medical dictionary to provide a comprehensive and specific terminology to help the standardize, facilitate and simplify the regulatory process. That means whenever the pharmaceutical industry or the research based industry they are going to file the approval process or the application, so the terminology whatever they are going to use it, it should be prescribed by the ICH in the M1 MedDRA, by which it will be easy to understand or it will be easy to communicate between one organization to another organization. That's why the M1 was main goal is to provide a standardized, facilitate, simplify regulatory process that is called as the International Medical Dictionary. Now, in the same way, M2 is telling that electronic standard, or it is in the full form, it is called as electronic standard for transmission of regulatory information, that is called as ESTRI. That means the documentation or the information whatever you got it during our study, it will be transmit in the form of electronic media from one to another, that is called as the transmission of regulatory information. So mainly this M2 is help to facilitate the international electronic communication by evaluating and the recommending the specification. That means while you are going to communicate or the regulating the information, transferring the information from one to another, so it will help this or it will help us to guide us. So mainly here what is telling, the first specification it will give, it gave the guidelines. The first specification was developed by the M2, or that is called as the expert working group of ICH, that was known as individual case safety report, or that is known as ICSR. And followed by the second one, it was developed by the same EWG, that is known as electronic common technical document. So nominally it is known as CTD, or electronic means eCTD. So nominally it is known as common technical document, the document which is necessary for the application, the document which is necessary for the transmission for the regulatory requirement. And here what is telling, when you are transferring this common technical document in the form of electronic media, that is called as eCTD, electronic common technical documentation. So this mainly need and it is always well explained in the M4 categories or in the series of the M4. So it is mainly initiated the M2 with the vision that to improve the flexibility and the long-term stability of the message for the transmission of regulatory information. Now M3 is telling that about the non-clinical safety studies. Non-clinical safety study means it is mainly necessary for the product which are going to be used in the clinical trial on human beings. So before going to do or before going to test the pharmaceutical formulation for the clinical trial on human beings and for the marketing authorization for the pharmaceutical product, it should be provided, it should pass or it should be give the satisfactory result in non-clinical safety study. So non-clinical safety study means it indicates that the drug will be tested on the animal to give the all the data the related to time duration of the non-clinical safety study and their timings, how much time you can expose the patient to the drug, and what is about the clinical therapeutic effect, about the timings, so which will help us to take the precautions when we are going to trial on the human beings. So this non-clinical safety assessment for the marketing approval of the pharmaceutical usually includes the pharmacological study, which will give the guidelines about that how the drug it is acting on the medicines or on the body, about the general toxicity study, how it is be harmful or effective, toxicokinetic, what is the process of this toxicity, non-clinical pharmacokinetic studies, how the drug is acting in the body, and about the genotoxicity study, and about the reproduction toxicity study. So all will help us to take the precautionary level or to take the measures which will help us to save the life of the human beings. So that is about the M3, which will provide the guidelines or the documentary evidence to perform a non-clinical safety study, which will give the specification to perform a non-clinical study on the animals. Now M4. M4 is telling about the common technical documents. As I told you in the M2, there is a E common technical document or the common technical document which are necessary to provide or to harmonize or to when you are going to provide or transmit the document in the regulatory informations for a new drug applications. So that means here what is telling, whatever the study you have done it, you want to get the application, you want to get the approval, so you have to file application. So for the filing of this application to get the approval, you have to give the document that is called as the common technical document or CTD. When you are going to this file this CTD for the electronic media, that is called as eCTD, as already I have discussed in the M2. So here what it is telling, this CTD document was agreed by the USA in the year of 2000, and this mainly the CTD is divided into 4 separate sections. So the first section is application of organization, second section is quality section of the product, third section is safety section for the product, and the last section is, or the fourth one is efficacy section of the product. As already we know that quality, safety and efficacy. Quality means how you can inbuild the quality or the best quality of the product, we can inbuild it. About the safety means how it is safe, like in vitro in vivo study, and efficacy means about the clinical trial studies. So here what is telling, the electronic version of the common technical document, as I told that eCTD is developed now, which will be necessary for the filing for the new drug application when we are going to get the approval for a product or for the pharmaceutical product. So that's why nowadays we are not using this, mostly we are not using this CTD, we are using the eCTD, that is called as the electronic common technical documentation by the applicant to the regulator to get the approval. Now M5. M5 is telling about the data elements and standards for the drug dictionaries. So here what it is telling, it is mainly help to harmonize the process, like standards, what kind of standards you are going to following it, and what is the evaluation parameter, about the acceptability parameters. So like this, here what is telling, this document mainly provide the guidance for the harmonized standards like in the international level, and relate the core sets for the medicinal product information and medical product terminology. So mainly here what is telling, M5 is mainly deals with the data which will be meet or which will be explanatory, or which the terminology which will contain about the international level, by which we can exchange our practical experience or the data, and which will be easy to understand. So the exchange and the practical use of the medicinal product data by regulators and the pharmaceutical industry. That means the pharmaceutical industry, whatever the data he want to transfer to the regulatory bodies, the same standards and the same terminology should be used, by which it will be easy to understand, by which here what is telling, the M5 guideline will help to feedback from the public consultation. They will conduct the feedback from, or they can take the feedback from the public, and this data or it will be submitted to the International Organization of Standardization for Development of Electronic. That means it will be provided in the platform which will be accessible by all the organization, that may be public or that may be anything for the awareness process. So that's why what is telling, the terminology and the standards should be fixed one, and it should be recommended by this ICH guideline, that is by the M5 guidelines, which will be easy to understand. Now M6. M6 is telling about the gene therapy. Gene therapy means what? Gene therapy means we are telling that when we are going to replace a good gene with the affected gene for the treatment, that is called as the gene therapy process. So here what is telling, the main consideration of this document is to general principle to address the virus and vector seeding. The ICH steering committee is mainly endorsed for the guideline for providing a more extensive information to improve the harmonization. That means here what is telling, the gene therapy process should be expressed in a single terminology, and the process or the information should be provided by the ICH in the form of M6 guideline, and it should be acceptable by all the regions of ICH. That is called as the gene therapy. How we are going to execute it, how we are going to go for the trial, or how we are going to prepare it. So regarding related to this, gene therapy guidelines are expressed or it is contained by the M6, that is called as the multidisciplinary 6 series of this gene therapy. Now M7 is telling about the genotoxic impurities. Genotoxic impurities means the impurities which are affecting or the having some alteration or some changes they are doing, which will having the similar mechanism of action, that is called as the gene therapy. So mainly in this gene therapy, impurities is mainly deals, or the guideline is mainly contained about the structure activity relationship of genotoxicity, how these toxicities happen in the gene level. So furthermore, it is mainly intended to resolve the questions such as whether the impurities which is going to be affected with similar alter that potentially have similar mechanism or not, or the actions should be combined in calculating the threshold of toxicological concern, TTC. So that is mainly important to determine, or this main process is to maintain the process for the finalizing the acceptable limit or the permitted daily exposure limit for the DNA reactive impurities for the patient. That is called as that how the alteration is going on and how it is effective, or the same similar mechanism of action is there, or any alteration is going on due to this impurities, that is called as the genotoxic impurities. Now M8. M8 is called as electronic common technical document. As already I told you that common technical document or the electronic common technical documents are necessary for the product submitted by the applicant to the regulatory bodies in the form of electronic media for the applications. So here what is telling, this electronic submission for the common technical document is a form of applicant to the regulator to harmonize, that means which will be accessible by all the regulatory bodies of this ICH in 3 different regions, and they can take their decision. So this mainly it is telling that it will be a table of content is consistent with the harmonized CTD. The eCTD also provide a harmonized technical solution to implementing the CTD electronically. So mainly, as you can say that this document is necessary by applicant to a regulatory bodies for the approval process for the new drug product. Now M9. M9 is mainly deals with the biopharmaceutical classification system based on the biowaste. That means here is mainly discussing about the BCS classification. BCS classification means what? BCS classification means depending on the solubility and the permeability of the drug is classified into 4 different categories. But here what it is telling, these BCS classifications are not acceptable by all the world, or it is not acceptable by internationally. So the ICH intention is to provide a single classification in the form of solubility and permeability of the drug in M9 guideline, which will be acceptable in all different region of ICH. So that's why the main intention of this M9 is to provide a guideline about the classification of drug related to solubility and permeability, by which it will be helpful to design a dosage form according to the solubility and permeability. Why? Because now till now also there are certain research based industry, they are using their different theory according to the different countries, or according to the different region. So for this M9 is established by this ICH to provide an international guideline for the BCS classification system. Now M10. M10 is indicating about the bioanalytical method validation. What is this bioanalytical method validation? So it is mainly accepted by the ICH management committee in the year of 2016 to validate the methods or the clinical studies or the non-clinical studies, whatever we are performing for our product. So without validation, we cannot assure that the product or the method which you are going to use it is effective or not. So for this M10 is came into the force to provide a guideline which will help to validate the methods or the procedures or the equipment which will be assure us that the equipment or the methods what you are going to use it or you are using it is acceptable by the international level and it is effective. So here what it is telling, it is mainly help to validate the bioanalytical method and the study sample analyze the non-clinical and clinical studies. As already I told that it is methodly used for the non-clinical study as well as the clinical study. As well as this guideline also provide a recommendation for the scientific regulatory requirements for bioanalysis. That means international level or the whole world level, what are the nominal regulatory requirements are there for the bioanalysis that will be specified in this guideline, which can be referred by the research based industry for their approval process. Next, the last one is that method validation. The method or the procedure what we are going to use it, whether it is validated or not, and how to validate it. This guideline will be provided by this M10, which will be accessible or which will be acceptable by all the regions of ICH. Now M11. M11 is deals with the clinical electronic structure harmonized protocol. So this we can tell that this is completely a new guideline introduced by ICH under the category of multidisciplinary M11 in the year of 2018. So till now we can say that this is not yet completely established or not yet drafted properly also. So this guideline is mainly proposed to provide a comprehensive clinical protocol about the organization and the standardized content which are both required for the components, optional component, like how to perform it, how to go for this clinical protocol. This mainly deals with this, we are going to plan a structure for this clinical study. So that deals with the M11. Now M12 is mainly deals with the drug interaction studies. Drug interaction study also it came into the ICH assembly in the year of 2018, which we can tell that is a completely new guideline which is proposed by the ICH by the expert working group to provide a guideline on drug interaction studies. Already you have studied in hospital pharmacy that about the drug interaction study, but the ICH intention is to provide a single platform which will be acceptable by the global level or international level or the ICH three different regions for the drug interaction study, which will provide a consistent approach about the designing, conducting or the interpretation of drug-drug interaction study during the development of therapeutic product. So that is more important now, because if you will see about that interaction or the drug-drug interaction, different regions having the different criteria which drug can be acceptable. Like you can see that India some drugs are we can use, but in US if you will go, some drugs are banned which cannot be used. So depending on the type of this, here what is telling, this ICH guideline is coming into the force to provide a universal guideline or harmonized guideline for the drug interaction study. And the last one is about this M13 for the bioequivalence for immediate release solid oral dosage form. So here what it is telling, this is about the bioequivalence study. Bioequivalence study means what? As we know that we are going for the comparison between the dosage form, like how this drug A is acting and how the drug B is acting, whether it is having similar effect or it is having more or the less, and that is we are going to for the comparison. So this is also you can tell it is a completely a new topic or the guideline is proposed by the ICH, or it came into the ICH assembly in 2019, and over this the working group is established and now they are going to prepare the guideline and they are going for this business plan for this. So till now it is not yet established or not yet drafted also about this. So mainly it deals with the bioequivalence like comparison of the dosage forms. So this all about the multidisciplinary guideline which is coming under the ICH category, that is International Conference on Harmonization category, for the multidisciplinary which are not coming in the category of quality, safety or efficacy, but it is quite important for our pharmaceutical product when it is in the point of the getting the approval from the regulatory bodies. Hope my video will help you to gain some knowledge about this ICH Please go through the complete video of 4 different video of ICH to gain the appropriate knowledge. Regarding this multidisciplinary, if you want to get the detail about these guidelines, so you can go through the second reference, that is about the ICH homepage. Only in that multidisciplinary you can get the detail about the each and every guideline in detail. PDF form it is available. And apart from that, these are the some other reference also, you can refer it about this ICH guideline, about it overview, about it quality, about its safety, about its efficacy, and this last one, today's topic, is about its multidisciplinary. If you have any kind of doubts or any clarification you need, so please don't hesitate to post a mail, that is to this mail ID, that is dharmajit.patnaik@gmail.com, or else you can write in the comment section of in this video. And this video will be available in the channel, that is Edu Knowledge Hub. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share my channel, that is Edu Knowledge Hub. Thank you. Stay healthy.